You can get this product and so much more at www.safariltd.com. And don't forget to use the coupon code SpinoDude to save 15% on your next order and show your support for the channel. Greetings, hello ladies and gentlemen, and today I have the pleasure of showing to you the new for 2021 Safari Ltd Spinosaurus aegypticus. First of all, just a massive thank you to Safari Ltd for sending this over to the channel so early. Funny story with this one, I actually received a box of a couple 2021 figures from Safari a few weeks ago, and the Spinosaurus was not in that box. And then a couple weeks later, a mysterious little package arrived on my doorstep. Safari didn't say anything, it just said it was from Florida. So I opened the box, and lo and behold, this little Spinosaurus was on the inside. So massive thank you to my contact Chris at Safari for setting that up so I could get a peek at the Spinosaurus early. Super excited about it. First of all, what I want to cover is availability with the new 2021 figures. As you guys know, there's a lot going on in the world, and it has been difficult for Safari to get exact release dates for all the new figures. The Spinosaurus estimated arrival is around January, but that is subject to change, and it probably will because of everything going on. So do bear with them as they get these new figures in stock. But anyway, new Spinosaurus! Oh my goodness. And I guess the thing that's sort of burning in your guys' minds are, how does this compare to the 2019 Spinosaurus from Safari Ltd? And first of all, a lot of people were worried about the size, and I can confirm it is substantially smaller than the 2019 Spinosaurus from Safari Ltd. Is this a bad thing? This comes down to subjective opinions here. And I have to say, I was nervous when I first saw the measurements for the new Spinosaurus when they were teasing it on their website. And I was a little disappointed that it was so small, but getting this figure in hand, I love the size it's at. It is so charming, and the size just complements the detail really nicely. First of all, as well, you can probably tell by just looking at these two figures, we have a different sculptor here that did this new Spinosaurus. I don't know who it is. It doesn't feel like the style of any other Safari figures that I have in my collection, particularly with the way these scales are done. We'll take a look at that in more detail coming up. Coloration! This one's a lot more vibrant. I adore the colors on this thing. My goodness. Let's actually put this guy off to the side for just a second so we can just appreciate the coloration on this new Spinosaurus. My favorite shade of blue on here. I love it so much. I don't have any blue Spinosaurus in my collection, to my knowledge. So, a blue Spinosaurus is amazing. It's my favorite color. It's not completely blue. You also have this sort of brownish, sandy color brought into the side and sort of framing the sail. A nice white color on the underbelly, and the white is brought up onto the midsection on the sail as well. I really like the patterns. The striping going down the body really breaks up in style as it goes down, and I like how each of the vertebrae on the sail are accented with that bright blue color. Really brings attention to the sail, and I think my favorite part, sculpt-wise and color-wise in the entire thing, is just the tail. They got it down pat with the shape and everything, it looks great, but I just love the top bit separated from the bottom in that blue color with that white banding going down the top of it. It looks phenomenal. Colors are gorgeous. And another thing too is this does have a slight wash of like a turquoise color going down the arms and the legs, which looks really nice. And I also love the claws in that white color. It's been a while since we've gotten a theropod from Safari with blue on it as more of a primary color, and it's really just a breath of fresh air, and I think it's one of the main reasons why I'm just digging this little figure so much. The colors remind me of a tropical fish, I have to say. I love them. But anyway, bringing the big Spino back into the picture here, another thing is that this new Spinosaurus is standing. The old one is in a swimming pose, and a not very convincing swimming pose if we're being honest, and that was the biggest complaint with this one in the community. The back half of the body is just in sort of this active swimming pose, the tail is wiggling through the water, propelling itself, the legs are kicked back, while the front is in a relaxed sort of terrestrial pose with the arms tucked in close to the chest and the head up and alert. So it just felt like a weird clash of two different situations that this animal could be in. But this new one is in a fully terrestrial pose, and it is a quadruped. It's very stable, which is one thing I was worried about. I was worried about if it was going to be stable or not, because it looked like it was going to be a biped in the silhouettes, but it is a quadruped, but it is not a knuckle walker. That's another thing I was worried about. If this thing was going to be a quadruped, was it going to walk on its knuckles, which isn't practical at all for the animal. And it's not. As you can see, if we zoom in, the tips of the claws just barely touch the ground, and the legs support most of the weight of the actual figure. So I think it's very nicely designed, and I can see how some people may not like the way the arms are posed. I don't mind it personally. I just think it's nice to have a stable Spinosaurus figure with this new 2020 reconstruction. And my absolute favorite part of the 2019 Spinosaurus here was the head and neck sculpt. Particularly, I love these large scales running down the back of the neck, and I just really liked the overall look of the head in general. But the 2019 Spinosaurus did have one big inaccuracy with its head, in that the notch in the top jaw was not as pronounced as it should be, and that is fixed with this new one. If we zoom in here quickly and take a look at the head, you can see that the notch is pronounced very nicely towards the front there. My one problem with this head, though, is that there is unfortunately a little bit of shrink wrapping around the fenestra in front of the eye there. That is unfortunate, and the crest is not a different color, but I actually quite like it in that blue color. I think it works. Also, glossy black eye. Fantastic choice. I love dinosaur figures with just pure black glossy eyes, and it works out so well against this overall very tropical color scheme here. And the interior of the mouth has been sculpted and painted in a fleshy pink color, if you can see. Not too much detail going on in there, but it is quite small, as you can see next to my fingers there. So nothing to complain about there, for me at least. And another thing with the 2019 edition of the Spinosaurus was the scalation. The scales here are very crocodilian on the 2019 version, very square. They do change size in some parts of the body, particularly on the tail, and I do like this row going down the midsection here, separating the sail from the torso. Overall, the scalation detail on this one, I haven't been too fussed on recently, but this is interesting with this new one. Like I said, this has to be a new sculptor, because the detail here is just so crisp and fresh, and the scales change size and shape and pattern all throughout the body. Let's see if we can get even closer in on it. I mean, just look at that. The scales almost form an almost mosaic-like pattern across the midsection there. It looks beautiful, and it's just a breath of fresh air. Also, the scales running down the hands and the feet look really nice as well. I know that it's now thought that theropods would have had more padding rather than actual bird-like scales running down their hands and feet, but I just think they look nice aesthetically on this figure personally. I do really like the inclusion of these larger scoots running down the sides of the animal. I think it is a really nice addition overall, and those go all the way down the tail, and they increase in number of rows going down the tail as well, which I really like. It helps bring more attention to the tail, which is the whole main reason for remaking their Spinosaurus in the first place for 2021. Oh, and that tail just makes me so happy when I look at it. I mean, just everything about this little figure, I really have nothing to complain about besides some very minor things, and I'm gonna be honest, after the 2019 one, even though I do like aspects of the 2019 Spinosaurus, it was kind of a disappointing figure. But this little Spinosaurus here, even though it's substantially smaller than the older one from a couple years ago, it's just a really visually striking figure. And even though I have some minor issues with it, like the shrink wrapping on the face, of course, it is just a beautifully crafted little figure. And whoever sculpted this one, I want to see more dinosaurs from you for future safari ranges. Please, I love this style. This is one of my absolute favorite figures from Safari Ltd now. Actually, I'm going to call it right now, this is my new favorite Safari Ltd figure. It's just so pleasing to look at, and I'd love to see more in this style. Anyway, I think I covered everything that I wanted to talk about with this new and improved Spinosaurus model. So, without further ado, let's bring out the flexi ruler and do a measurement. So this little Spino comes in at about 9 inches long on the spot, which is about 23 centimeters, and in terms of the highest point, which is the top of the sail, we'll be looking at about 3¼ inches, which is about 6 centimeters. So yeah, guys, once this is available, make sure to use the coupon code SpinoDude at checkout to grab one for yourself. I can't recommend this little guy enough. And if you're skeptical about getting this one, I do recommend just giving it a chance. It is a really beautiful little figure. It stands out from the rest of the Safari range, and right now it is my new favorite Safari figure in my collection. So once again, massive thank you to Safari Ltd for setting this up so I could take a look at this brand new Spinosaurus early. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you all in my next review. So take care, and bye-bye.